Alright guys, so it's been a while since I've done a proper deep dive on Stake. I haven't sat down and given it a full review in quite some time, and a lot has changed. So in this video I'm going to go through everything, the features, what's new, what's still the same, what I still wish they'd fix, and I'll give you my honest take on whether Stake in 2026 is still worth using. And look, I do use Stake myself, so this isn't just me reading a spec sheet. I've got real experience with this platform and I want to give you the full picture. The good, the bad, and a couple of things that genuinely surprised me. Let's get into it. So just quickly for anyone who's new here, Stake is an Australian-based investing app that was launched back in 2017. It originally made its name by giving everyday Australians really easy, affordable access to US shares. And over the years, it's grown to also include ASX trading as well. It's regulated by ASIC here in Australia, which is important. Your ASX shares are CHESS sponsored, meaning they're held in your own name under your own HIN. And your US investments are protected up to $500,000 under the SMIPC insurance scheme in America. So from a security and legitimacy standpoint, it's absolutely solid. The app is primarily mobile based, though you can use it on desktop too. And it's really built around simplicity, which is both one of its biggest strengths and, as I'll get into a bit later, still one of my main criticisms. For this video, I won't use my personal Stake account. We will use an account I created when I made the first YouTube video on Stake. It's been sitting idle for a while, but if you're keen, I can revitalize this account and track its progress regularly on this channel. Let me know your thoughts. So let's start with fees, because this is where Stake continues to shine, and it's honestly one of the main reasons I keep coming back to it. For ASX trades, you're looking at a flat $3 brokerage on any trade up to $30,000. That's still one of the lowest CHESS sponsored brokerage fees you're going to find anywhere in Australia. And for US trades, it's the equivalent $3 up to 30,000 US dollars. There's also a currency conversion fee of around 0.55% when you're moving money in and out of your US dollar wallet. But importantly, they only charge that on the conversion itself, not on every single trade. So once your money is sitting in USD, you're not being hit with that fee every time you buy or sell. That's actually a pretty investor-friendly way to structure it. One thing worth mentioning, if you refer 3 friends to Stake, they'll waive your ASX brokerage fees for 12 months. So if you've got mates who are interested in investing, that's genuinely a nice little perk. And the basic account has no monthly fee, no inactivity fee. You're only paying when you actually trade, which is exactly how it should be. So one of the things I've always really liked about Stake, and I want to say it's still just as good in 2026, is how easy it is to switch between your ASX and Wall Street portfolios. It is literally a single tap. You're in your ASX portfolio, looking at your Aussie holdings, you tap once and you're across to Wall Street, looking at your US stocks. It's seamless, it's fast, and it just feels natural. If you're someone like me who likes to have exposure to both markets, that ease of switching between the two is genuinely one of the things that keeps me on Stake over other platforms. On the ASX side, you've got access to over 2,500 Aussie stocks, ETFs, and exchange-traded bonds. On the US, you're looking at over 9,500 Wall Street stocks and ETFs, which covers pretty much everything you'd want. You've also got extended hours trading on US stocks, so pre-market and after hours, which is a nice feature for people who want to act on news before the market officially opens. And if you want to get into a high-priced US stock but don't want to buy a full share, fractional shares are available from as little as $10 US. So if Apple or Nvidia is sitting at a price point you can't fully commit to, you can still get exposure without needing to buy the whole thing. Alright, so this is one of the newer features that I want to spend a bit of time on because I think it's genuinely interesting and I think a lot of people either don't know about it or don't really understand what it is. Stake Accumulate is essentially an income fund. It's not a share, it's not an ETF. Think of it more like a high interest savings account, but sitting within your Stake portfolio. The target return is 2% per annum above the RBA cash rate. So whatever the Reserve Bank's official cash rate is sitting at, Stake is aiming to give you that plus 2% on top. The idea is that any cash sitting in your account that isn't currently invested, instead of it just sitting there doing nothing, you can park it in Accumulate and have it working for you while you decide what to do with it. You can move your money in and out with no exit fees, which is important. You're not locked in. And there's the ability to reinvest your earnings automatically, so the returns compound over time. Which, for anyone who's been watching my videos for a while, you know I'm a big fan of compounding. It's one of the most powerful tools you have as a long-term investor. So, who is Stake Accumulate actually useful for? Honestly, I think there are a few types of people this suits really well. If you're someone who regularly deposits money into your stake account, but you like to take your time before deciding what to buy, rather than just letting that cash sit idle, Accumulate gives it something to do in the meantime. That's a genuinely smart use of it. If you're building up a lump sum before making a bigger investment, same idea. Park it in Accumulate, let it earn while you wait, then deploy it when you're ready. And if you're someone who's more conservative and you just want a little bit of exposure to growth without the volatility of the share market, Accumulate gives you a relatively stable option that's still inside the stake ecosystem. It's not going to replace proper investing, but as a place for idle cash to sit, it's a solid addition to the platform. Okay, so I have to talk about this because when I first saw it, I genuinely did a double take. Stake has launched a clothing line, an actual, real, proper clothing line. They're calling it Stake Supply, and the debut range, which they're referring to as Drop One, has 8 items in it. We're talking apparel, accessories, and, wait for it, a basketball. There is a basketball in the range. Now look, I've seen a lot of things from investing apps over the years, but a clothing drop is a new one. And I'll be honest, my first reaction was, what are they doing? This is a stock trading app. Why are we selling a basketball? Then I read a bit more about the thinking behind it, and it actually kind of makes sense. The idea is that a lot of Australians who are quietly building wealth and investing, they're doing it without making a big song and dance about it, and Stake wants the brand to reflect that. The designs are minimal, the branding is subtle, it's not a loud brand flex, it's more like a quiet nod to the community. Their senior brand designer described it as being built with the same thinking as the platform. Premium, everyday, functional. And honestly, the quality looks pretty decent from what I've seen. Is it something I'd personally run out and buy? Probably not. But I get it, it's a brand play. It's Stake trying to build a community and a lifestyle around investing rather than just being an app you open when you want to buy a stock. Whether it lands or not, I'm genuinely curious to see where they take it. Anyway, link in the description if you want to check it out. There's one more feature I want to touch on before we move on, and that's Stake Super. Now this one is a bit different to everything else we've talked about today because it's not really aimed at your everyday beginner investor. But I think it's worth mentioning because it's actually a pretty interesting offering, and I haven't seen many other investing apps do anything quite like this. Stake Super is essentially a self-managed super fund service, an SMSF, but built into the Stake ecosystem. And the idea is pretty clever. Rather than having your super sitting in some industry fund that you have no real visibility or control over, you can set up an SMSF through Stake and then invest that super directly through the same platform you're already using to buy ASX and US shares. Everything under one roof. Now the thing that makes an SMSF appealing to some people is the level of control it gives you. You decide where your money goes. You can invest in individual stocks, ETFs, and with Stake Super, you can even hold residential property within the fund structure if that's something you're interested in. You also get access to some genuinely useful tax benefits that come with holding investments inside Super. And Stake handles all the heavy lifting on the admin side. We're talking accounting, auditing, tax lodgement, annual reporting, all of it. Starting from $990 a year, which for a full administration service is actually pretty competitive compared to what you'd normally pay an accountant to manage all of that. The setup is fully digital, it takes just a few minutes to get started, and if you've already got an existing SMSF somewhere else, you can transfer it across to Stake at no cost. But, and I want to be really clear about this, an SMSF is not something everyone should be jumping into. There are compliance responsibilities that come with running your own super fund. You're the trustee, which means the ATO holds you accountable for how the fund is managed. There's also an annual ATO supervisory levy of $259, on top of the stake fee. And traditionally, SMSFs have really only made financial sense once you've got a meaningful balance, usually north of $200,000, because the fixed costs need to be justified by the size of the fund. So if you're earlier in your investing journey, Stake Super probably isn't for you right now. But if you've been investing for a while, you've got a solid super balance, and you've ever thought about taking more control over where your retirement money is actually going, it's genuinely worth looking into. The fact that Stake has won Best for SMSF at the We Money Investment Awards 2 years running says something. And having your super and your share portfolio managed in the same place is actually a pretty compelling proposition. All right, so let's talk about the actual experience of using the app, because this is where I have some genuine thoughts, both positive and some that are still the same criticisms I've had for a while now. The design is still really good. It's clean, it's modern, it's easy to navigate. Stake has always done well on the look and feel side of things, and that hasn't changed. If you hand this app to someone who's never invested before, they're not going to feel overwhelmed. And that is genuinely valuable. The charting has improved. They've got interactive charts now with better visual insights than they had before. Funding your account is easy. Apple Pay and Google Pay are both supported for instant deposits, which is a nice quality of life improvement. And the onboarding process is still really smooth. I've set up accounts on a lot of platforms over the years, and Stake is genuinely one of the easiest to get started on. And here's where I keep coming back to the same points I've been making for years now. The portfolio information is still too surface level for my liking. When I open my portfolio, I want to be able to see at a glance how my holdings are weighted across different sectors. I want a pie chart that shows me, here's how much of your portfolio is in resources, here's how much is in tech, here's how much is in financials. I want to be able to compare my overall performance against the market easily. I want richer analytics that help me make smarter decisions about where I'm overexposed and where I might want to add more. None of that is there in the free version. And honestly, it's been on my wish list since my very first review of this platform. The information they show you is still quite basic. Your holdings, your total gains or losses, some fundamental data on individual stocks. It's functional, but it doesn't give you the bigger picture view that I think a serious investor really needs. I mocked up what this could look like years ago, and I still think that Vision would make Stake a genuinely powerful portfolio management tool. The bones are there. I just want to see them build on it more. So this is where it gets interesting, because Stake does have a premium tier, Stake Black. And part of you might be thinking, well, if the free version is missing features, maybe the paid version fills the gap. So let me break down what you actually get with Stake Black, and then give you my honest take on whether it's worth the money. Stake Black comes in a few options. You can subscribe to it for the ASX only, for Wall Street only, or a combined package covering both. Prices range from around $12 a month up to $20 a month, depending on what you pick, or slightly less if you pay annually. What do you get for that? A few things. You get instant buying power on your US account, which means when you sell something, you don't have to wait the standard 2 days for the funds to settle before you can reinvest. You can move straight away. For active traders who are frequently buying and selling, that's actually pretty useful. You also get access to more detailed company fundamentals, things like full financial data, analyst buy-sell ratings and price targets. Most of the meaningful Stake Black features are weighted towards Wall Street. The analyst ratings, the instant buying power on US funds, it's really built for someone who's actively trading US stocks. And here's the problem for me, I'm primarily an ASX investor. I use Stake for US exposure as part of my broader portfolio, but it's not where the bulk of my investing happens. So if I'm being really honest, the features that Stake Black unlocks aren't necessarily the features that would make the biggest difference for someone like me. The things I've been asking for, the sector weighting breakdowns, the portfolio level analytics, the performance comparison against the market, they're still not there. Not in the free version and not really in Stake Black either. Stake Black gives you more data on individual stocks, but it still doesn't give you that portfolio-wide intelligence layer that I think would genuinely change the game. And then there's the cost. At $12 to $20 a month, you're looking at up to $240 a year. For a casual investor who's making a handful of trades a month, that's a meaningful expense. You'd want to be confident that the features you're unlocking are actually going to move the needle on your returns before you commit to that. My verdict on Stake Black: if you're an active Wall Street trader who wants instant settlement and analyst data, it probably makes sense. But for the everyday investor who's taking a long-term buy and hold approach, I'm not sure the value proposition is quite there yet. Alright, so after all of that, what's my actual verdict on Stake in 2026? Look, it's still a really solid platform, and I want to be clear about that because I've spent a bit of time on the things I'd like to see improved, but the fundamentals are genuinely good. The fees are competitive, the app is well designed, the ASX and Wall Street experience is seamless, and Stake Accumulate is a nice new addition that I think adds real value for a certain type of investor. The experience of using Stake day to day is still one of the most enjoyable of any ASX platform I've used. It doesn't feel clunky, it doesn't feel overcomplicated, and it doesn't throw information at you that you don't need. For a beginner or someone who just wants a clean, simple investing experience without paying through the nose in brokerage fees, Stake is still a very strong option. My criticisms haven't changed though. I still think the portfolio analytics are too shallow for what this platform could be. I still want to see richer visualization of my holdings, some sector breakdowns, performance comparisons, that kind of thing. Stake has all the pieces to become a genuinely powerful portfolio management tool, and I feel like they're still leaving that potential on the table. And the Stake Black offering, while it does add some genuinely useful features, is still a bit too Wall Street focused to feel essential for the everyday ASX investor. It's a step in the right direction, but I want to see those premium features go deeper on the portfolio intelligence side before I'd say it's a must-have subscription. But overall, still a good app, still a good experience, and still one of the platforms I'd recommend to someone who's starting out and wants a clean, affordable way to invest in both Australian and US markets. I'll be watching to see what they do next, and hopefully some of those wishlist features start making their way in. So that's my full Stake review for 2026. I've tried to give you the most honest picture I can, the things they've done well, the things I'm still waiting on, and whether the premium tier is actually worth it. If this video helped you out, smash that like button and make sure you're subscribed because I've got a lot more content coming on ASX investing platforms and how to actually build a solid long-term portfolio. And drop a comment below. I'd love to know if you're using Stake and what your experience has been like. Have you tried Stake Black? Do you use Accumulate? Let me know. I read every single comment. Cheers guys, see you in the next one.